Leaders, stop this. Stop leaving your team event planning to the last minute. If you want to avoid a bit of stress and achieve better results from the moments that you bring your team together, keep watching. Do you somehow always end up, despite your best intentions, leaving the planning of your team gets-togethers to the last minute? Sure, you might have booked the venue, you've locked in the date, but you're guilty of leaving the actual guts of the planning to the very last minute. If that sounds at all familiar, then my friend, you are definitely not alone. But the thing is, this common mistake can lead to a lot of unnecessary stress and let's face it, less than amazing team events. So this episode is designed to help break that old pattern. Hi, I'm 𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗯𝗲, the founder of the Ultimate Offsite. And look, I'm going to be honest, most team events are not necessarily bad, they're just okay, average at best. Participants rate team events an average 6 out of 10. It's not terrible, but if you're a leader that's anything like me, you would not have been happy with a bit of an average result. I certainly wouldn't, especially not at school. Sure, you can leave the planning to a few late nights, but it's just seriously not recommended. And the most experienced leaders don't do this. A couple of months ago, we researched over 100 leaders of varying experience about their team event planning. I know, a fun survey, right? There was one insight that I left thinking, wow, that was actually really not what I was expecting. It was this really clear distinction between the really experienced leaders and the less experienced ones, the ones with fewer reports. The leaders with the most experience set out to plan their events way further in advance than some of the more junior leaders. The more junior were leaving it more until maybe the adrenaline kicks in the final few days or a few weeks to actually get around to planning it and really trying sometimes to pull it off in a week or so. Now, call me crazy, but before I did that research, I actually thought maybe the opposite might be true, that the more experience you had, the less time you'd need to plan it. But the data told a really different story. The more experience you had, the more likely, I'm imagining, you were to realise the bit of planning actually is really, really helpful. It avoids some of the stress, allows you to be a bit more strategic. Perhaps also recognising that the leaders with the most experience, they've done them before, they actually know that the moments are important. Now, speaking to the most experienced leaders, the big dogs, the GMs, directors, executives, some of them were actually planning the event after the next, or a whole series of events. And they were thinking, right, how does it all ladder up? And you know what, this actually makes sense, right? Later on, you might have annual conference to deploy, that's the total business, they're coming together, we want to align on the strategy there, maybe you throw some fun in, then maybe a month later, the leadership team comes together, they discuss how to align the teams further, sustain the momentum. Teams might then have quarterly strategic planning offsites, brand or sales plan deployments. You might know that you want to bring the team together around Christmas or to celebrate closing out the financial year. They're not surprising, right? We see the most experienced leaders are actually planning for those well in advance. And the best of the best aren't just locking in the dates, but they're actually consciously thinking about what's the vibe that we're looking to create, the message, what's the why for the event. If you didn't catch my last video, I highly recommend starting there. The absence of purpose, huge pitfall that lots of leaders fall into in their team events. Believe me, I know intimately, personally, deeply the power of a cheeky deadline. Having fire up the bum to actually get something done can be super motivating, especially when you've got a million and one things on your plate, you've got more urgent, pressing fires to put out. But is that really the best way of prioritising how we spend our time? No. You're likely already familiar with the urgent, important matrix. And if you agree that a team event is important, which with teams more disparate disconnected than ever, I truly think that offsites are frankly the best, most effective tool in a leader's toolkit to try and fast track and sustain connection to the team and to the work that they do. I argue that it's way up there in terms of the importance. You might agree. But for most of the year, it's going to be sat in the not urgent bucket until it suddenly is. And that date's crept upon you and you suddenly need to pull something out of the bag. If you, like me, think that urgency makes you perform a bit better, well, we're both wrong. So here's an idea. Why not experiment and plan your event at least a couple of months out? Locking in the date and the location, it doesn't count as starting. The focus should be on the stuff that actually makes the difference. And if you need any help in identifying what that is, or if you want inspiration for filling the middle of the event sandwich, then we can jump on a call. There's loads of videos here in this channel to help inspire you. The point I want to make on this video though is that future you, if you plan it a bit in advance, will thank you, because it's going to be a whole lot less stressful, and I can guarantee it's going to be much better outcomes, much better results. So action time. When is your next team event? Now you might already know, okay, we'll probably be doing one around this time, or this, we want to do it quarterly, or we want to do it half yearly, or we need to do something around Christmas. You might already know that. So go put some time in your diary to actually plan it. You ought to work out and map out what that looks like. Now you might have got to the end of this video and thought, I'm still be thinking, yeah, I'm not sure I'm on 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏. I don't need to do that, Chloe. Well, this is number 2 of 10 pitfalls and ideas for how you can make your team event really, really effective. If you though want to know which video to watch next, which pitfall you might be falling into, or actually where your strengths lie in terms of your offsite effectiveness, then I would highly, highly recommend, we've got a 2-minute assessment. You get personalised results and a report out of it that says, okay, right, this one, watch this, this is going to help. So I would recommend go do that next. The link is going to be below. And if you found this video at all helpful, please like and subscribe. It means the world. See you soon.